Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Celeste, also known as Signed by Celeste in the notary world, and this is Holy Ship and Print. Welcome to my channel. Here we talk about just my day-to-day operations for my pack and ship center. We are an independent pack and ship store, so we offer FedEx, UPS, USPS, and we also offer a new service that is kind of a competitor for international shipping with DHL. I opened my pack and ship store the official launch was actually August 1st, but we got the keys in June and we were set to open in July. Several things happened. If you watch a few of my first videos, I kind of talk about the delays that we had that kind of caused the pushback from opening in July to opening in August. But since August, we've been up and rolling, and I don't know, I actually love this business. So the first thing I think I want to talk about is a few phone calls that I've gotten since I started the channel, and I appreciate you all for calling. Definitely don't mind answering anybody's questions if I have time. Some of the things that you guys asked just made me want to make a video to try to give some of those answers kind of in a general sense, so that if you do have those questions, you might be able to get them from this video. So the first question was the cost of opening a pack and ship center and how I did it. I will start with what I believe the average cost is of a pack and ship center. It is going to include your rent, so your location, utilities. It's going to include the services for software that you need in order to open a pack and ship. All right, so let me continue. Since it's not scripted, I am just kind of going off the cuff with what we use here at the store. And so far I thought about everything that I could think of, which would be scales, tape, packing, peanuts, bubble wrap, boxes, mailers, bubble mailers, envelopes, stamps. I have printing in my business, so I use a large format printer. I have a Canon 4600, which is a 44-inch printer, and I also use Epson 7280 Workforce for my color printer, and then I use a Brother 2395 for my black and white printer. I have a standalone, like the large floor standing printer as well. That one just does black and white. It's very fast, uses a great toner, very inexpensive for printing for me. It is a Ryko brand, and I got it off of Facebook Marketplace. So that printer cost me $100 on Facebook Marketplace, and it is still working for me today. It has still made copies for me today. It has made me money. It's definitely made me my $100 back, and it is an amazing find. My other printers are brand new. I did not get the large monthly standalone color printer with a service. I know a lot of people have that, but when I was just starting the business, I got with a company that was selling those in my area, or renting those, leasing them in my area. And unfortunately, the salesperson didn't know how to actually set up the account, because when you are a brand new business, let me roll that on back just a little bit. I am a 25-year entrepreneur. So I've been an entrepreneur since I was 19 years old. So it's going on 25 years. We started our first brick and mortar business in 2001. It's a electronics store. I started that in 2001. We moved into our brick and mortar business in 2006. So we were working out of, like a leased garage prior to that, but then we got our own spot in 2006. So I know how business works, and I know how this should have gone for a business that was going to be leasing a product, a large piece of equipment. You are either going to buy it outright or you're going to rent or lease it. So with leasing in a brand new business, they wanted to do this in my brand new business name, which was a mistake, because if you do it in your business name and there is no guarantor, it's going to be denied. So that I have decent credit. It's not the best. It's definitely not the worst. It allows me to get approved for plenty of things. He didn't ask for any of my information. So they tried to run just based off of this business that had not even opened yet. I had not even opened my doors. This was in early July. I hadn't opened, and they ran credit on just my business, and your business name is not going to have any credit available to it in the very beginning. You have to establish that via bank accounts and deposits, via other creditors willing to give you an account and start with either a credit card on file and reporting for you, or open credit, which might be, I'm going to let you know, even truthfully, even Uline would not give this business a line of credit in the very beginning. I had to order my first set of boxes on my credit card because they wanted to do some business before they extended business. And that is the case with a lot of people. So you may see out there that people are saying, if you start an LLC, if you get your corporation, if you get an EIN number and you use that, they're going to immediately extend you credit. That is not always the case. It's not that it's not the case in any instance, but it is not always the case. So please don't go into this thinking that because you have an LLC or an EIN that you can utilize, that the business is going to just immediately extend credit to you without you having to either be a personal guarantor for that credit, or you going with a company that just is giving you an opportunity. It's rare, but that is possible. But you're not going to get that from the major companies that are in this industry, that are established and know already that you need to either personally guarantee this loan or lease, or they're going to put a credit card on file. So please understand that part. That was a long story to tell you that credit is not going to just be immediately extended in your first 6 months of business. You definitely have to show them at least 90 days of cash flow, which would be, if you use a Stripe or you use, any of the POS systems that will actually report as a merchant for you, that works in your favor, because it then shows that you are at least generating some sort of revenue, and then they have something to go on. But you cannot just go out there, start a business, have a bank account, put $50 in that account, start it, and think that they are going to be able to extend you $5,000 or $10,000 in credit under your business name without using you as a personal guarantor, so that you can start this business and have equipment. Okay, so I was able to correct that and get other equipment. Like, I got my large format printer, I got all this other equipment because I did it the right way. I did it the way that I know it needed to be done. I was very upset with this company. I'm not going to say their name, but they're out there, circulating amongst these brand new businesses, and they have people out there who don't even know how to set these accounts up properly. And that was upsetting, because I don't want anything negative out there about my business when I know that I could personally guarantee something, or I know how to apply for it so that it doesn't affect anything in any negative way while I'm building credit for a brand new business. So, rant over. Don't do it. If you think that your credit is below like I'd say a 650, but 620, because that's where they were at before with housing. But I think it's 680 now for housing. So I kind of stay along those lines. And I think as long as I'm above 687, then you can apply for anything and get approved for anything on these smaller levels. But if you're not in that range, like if you're not at a 650, 680, don't apply. It's just it's not worth it, because it's just going to be an inquiry on your credit. It is not going to do anything specific for your business. That's my personal opinion. You do not have to use my advice. It is not legal advice. I'm not an accountant. I just have experience, and this is my opinion. Okay? All right, moving forward. My POS system that I use is called Postomate. I found them through my research as a independent store owner by looking at and looking up information online and other people's channels. Let me start with how I entered this journey. How I entered the independent world of shipping is because my business, who had been existing for 17 or 18 years before I got the opportunity to potentially open a UPS store. I was approached and went through most of the process to actually acquire a UPS store. I did all the interviews, and I am just going to give this little tip. If you are interested in a UPS franchise, just know that it's a much more expensive way to go. If you are married or have a legal partner, you both have to go through the interview process, the processing, everything that they do in order to make sure that you are willing to put forth the effort together to start a UPS store. So if you're married, they want your spouse on board, and you are going to have certain locations that are available to you, certain territories that are available to you. My particular situation, they were trying to put me inside of a very busy grocery store chain. It was going to be about 600 square feet, which is pretty small, but it was, what they were looking for, kind of their Main Street program and a Main Street store. And it was pretty expensive, upwards. I don't think that I can give pricing, but just know it's in the six-figure range and not the low six-figure range for that franchise, at least for when I was looking into it in 2022. And so, I decided, my husband did do, the steps with me. We went through the process. Once I got to that amount, and I figured, if I was going to be doing that and dedicating my work to that, and I was only going to be one of the names of the bigwigs in shipping, then I started researching other ways to do this. So that is how I stumbled upon independent shipping stores. I had been to a few independent shipping centers, but didn't realize exactly what they were. Like, I knew I needed to drop off my package at a FedEx or a UPS, and they were somewhere near me, and I noticed that they had other things. They might have been a currency exchange, or they might have, they had other things going on in that business, but I didn't realize, this is not just a FedEx, this is not just a this. So I wasn't really paying enough attention to know that it was a shipping center. But I had been to them before, so I definitely started to learn a little more about them once I researched, and it was more interesting to me to do it that way and to try to start my brand from scratch. So that was the most appealing. I'm very, I don't want to say controlling, but I'm definitely one that likes to have creative control over my business and my brand. And so it was interesting to me that I would be able to be my brand and still offer these services that are very recognizable to other people. So that is why I started the independent route. So my journey started in 2022 with interviews and the process of opening a UPS franchise and moving forward into researching independent stores. So I started Holy Ship at the end of 2023, and I did everything that I needed to try to make sure the business was structured and that I would know how to run this business before actually opening. And that's kind of difficult to do because there's not a whole lot of resources out there that tell you exactly how to run this business when you're not in it. So you have to get, involved in the association. So the association for me that I use, I'm not saying everyone has to do it this way, but this is how I did it. I used Retail Shipping Associates, which is RSA. So I am with Retail Shipping Associates. I am a premium member. And premium membership just basically, I can't explain their membership, but it just basically means that, one, if I was going to go with their website, I needed to do that so that I got, whatever discounts come along with being a premium member. If I was going to try to become a package hub center, which is something else that most of us in this industry know about. Once you get in it, you either decide to do your connections with the companies independently, or you go direct, or you will be with the association. And so I tried going direct first, and that I suggest that for anyone. If you can get direct accounts, whereas it will allow you to still have the same access and the capability of utilizing all of the major services, then I say go for that. So I did that first, and FedEx was a very long process for me, and I wanted them first because if I could get FedEx, which I personally believed would be a large part of my business, then I was going to go after UPS secondly, because I had gone through a lot with that UPS processing to do the franchise, so I had a little more knowledge about UPS, but I still wanted to gain FedEx, and I didn't want any conflict with trying to get them both. I didn't know of either of them. I know that there were shipping centers out there, but I still was learning the process, so I did not want to interfere with the process of getting FedEx by trying to get UPS first. To try FedEx first, and I went through what I'm going to call rigorous process, which just basically means that they have a set of guidelines and they want you to meet them, and they're pretty specific. So if you don't have, the sign attached to the building, the sign that they want to see, the type of setup that they want to see, all of your shipping equipment, all of your boxes and things that you can offer to their clients, and be willing to offer theirs and their services, push their services and promote them. There are some things that you're going to have to do in order to make sure that FedEx is comfortable with giving you an account. So I did the process, my due diligence, and continued to adjust where necessary so that I could get that account. And I finally got that secured. When I then applied for UPS, I was unfortunately initially denied because I was considered too close. And I'm actually pretty close to most of the services. So I definitely wanted to try my way first, and then you get involved with the other companies that can help you along that way. So I did that. I tried UPS first. They denied me because I'm very close to a Walgreens, which is like an access point for them. And then there is a UPS store about 1.5 miles away. And then there's another one 3 miles away. So there would be 3 within a 3-mile vicinity, and that's a lot for them. But if you go through Package Hub, which is pretty much another organization that represents you as being worthy of being a store like a UPS store, is pretty much a guarantee. So I did decide to go through Package Hub for UPS once I was denied. So that is your alternative route to getting a UPS store, is being approved by Package Hub. Now, mind you, you do have to get approved by Package Hub as well. They're not just going to say, oh, okay, you want to be in with us, pay me some money, and you're in. No, there are steps to take for Package Hub as well. So I did those steps, and I am finally approved. So your girl got approved for Package Hub. I'm appreciative. I don't care that it has a associated fee. It is nothing like a franchise. It still allows me to be the type of business that I want to be. It still allows me to have my brand identity. It still allows me to do all of the services that I want to do. And it gives me another place where it's going to be listed. It also gives me another avenue of, whatever they decide to get into next. So I'm actually proud to be associated with a company that is advocating for us. So I don't have a problem with it. You want to look that up on your own through RS Associates, which is Retail Shipping Associates. please do so. Next, I am a Fieldprint representative. So I think I talked about this in my last video as well. Fieldprint is a service that allows you to do live scan and I-9 background checks, or I-9 verifications, which are the identification verifications for employment. And that's usually used for the medical industries, the education industry, and financial and government. And I do, so one of the questions I got on the phone from a phone call from a YouTube subscriber was if Fieldprint was, number one, worth it, how often we do appointments, and like what it can make me. So let me just break that down a little bit without getting into every detail. I would say Fieldprint for me has always been worth it. It has brought clients through my door that I would have never seen. It has introduced me to customers who have become actual customers that return, so repeat customers. So I appreciate the walk-in traffic. It does not cost me anything. It is set up on a full stand that they sent to me at no cost. I learned from them the training of how to do fingerprints. So you get trained by them, you get a kiosk from them, or a station from them, and you perform the services, and they pay you a commission for those services, basically per service. So although it may only be a few dollars per fingerprint, or add on a digital photo, or add on a I-9 to the appointment, because you can do all three at once. You can do even some that have flat prints and roll prints, as well as a photo and a I-9, and that is your most expensive appointment, but each of them still take 10 minutes or less, and they can set them up every 10 minutes for you. So if you ideally are open 8 hours a day and you get to take 6 appointments per hour, then you do the math. But I'm not doing 6 appointments per hour because they're not necessarily set up in that way. They all don't take 10 minutes of my time. Some of them take 2 minutes, some of them take 5 minutes. So honestly, it pans out and it brings people through the door. It pays you, adequately for the amount of time, and I'm an advocate. So I've been doing it since August. I will not stop doing it unless something changes. And hopefully any changes that occur will probably be for the better. I've seen the company improve even their processes after, a few things that we ran into. They actually take account for what is happening, and if you report to them things that are occurring, they're pretty good at getting them resolved and getting them, getting you an update to whatever that process is. So I personally would suggest and recommend it if you are looking into doing live scan. Worst case scenario, it's an easy way to learn for free how to do live scan. So if you decide to buy your own and you want to make a little more money and be involved with the DOJ and all those other aspects that are involved, one, you're not making any appointments with Fieldprint, but they are by appointments, so they can't come without your knowledge. That's one. Two, it is, you don't have to set any of this up. You're usually not taking phone calls for it because they're not giving that information out at Fieldprint. They try to handle all of that themselves up front. So there's pros and cons to that, because if you do have something going on at your facility, you do have to contact Fieldprint, and they have to contact the customer if something's happening, your internet went out, or something's not working properly on the station, and they have appointments set up every 10 minutes, then that can cause a problem. But it hasn't, because they usually are pretty quick to get back to you if you call them for something, and it's a pretty simple fix. So I like the hands-off approach of not having to set anything up, not having to do any of the follow-up or anything with it. It's just doing those few minutes of the appointment, getting your money for whatever that is, the compensation, and bringing those people in the door that you can convert to a full-time customer of your own, repeat customer. So that is Fieldprint. With PhotoZoomer is how I'm doing printing services. I honestly believe that PhotoZoomer has come up with something that will make it very easy for you to get into the print industry without having to invest in the same way that I did for large format printing. I invested in large format printing because I was doing printing before I got into this business. So my other businesses offered printing as well. So I am continuing printing at this business because I believe that they go well together. So if you do not want to invest in a large format printer for printing services, but you still want to be able to offer some of those same banners and things like that, look into PhotoZoomer, because PhotoZoomer is actually coming out with something where you don't have to have this equipment, and you'll be able to, kind of outsource the same way we do if you're looking for, like, say, Canva's printing your banner, Amazon's printing your banner. You can do those things that way. You can still sell the services in that way, and just let them know that, once it's delivered, you will call them, or however you want to set that up. But you can also do it in-house if you do that credit check thing that I talked about, and get yourself some equipment or buy it outright, one or the other. So that is printing. PhotoZoomer is who I use for that. All right, so I think I've covered a couple of questions that I received. Another one that I found interesting that I would like to address is, I believe the person was saying that they basically had done, most of the research, and they are, subscribers to most of the channels that I suggest often, which would be Winston at Speedy Pack and Go, Napoleon at Fishbox. There's some great information from a channel that I used to frequently watch, which was Mason at Postal Pros, I believe is what it's called. And those are the main channels that I would suggest. And of course, my own. Please like and subscribe if you have not. I'll try to give you the best information that I can throughout these videos. But the thing that was this person's question was basically, if I've done the research, like if I know that this is what I want to do, if I've already decided that this, I've started my business, I've done my EIN, I've done my LLC, I have researched this business, and now I'm ready to start, but I don't have the funds. My suggestion to them was, obviously you can't start a full shipping store without having funds. You've got to either get a loan or you've got to fund it yourself with your 9-to-5. And I suggest 6 months of rent and other expenses if you are going to get into this business. I suggest a year almost at this point, because it does take a while to get people to commit to shipping at your location. You may be able to do that within 3 to 6 months, but just so that you're not starting from behind, or you don't get yourself in the red and use all of your savings in order to run this business and get it off the ground, 6 months or more of income that covers the rent and other expenses at this business is what I would suggest before getting into it, because it starts slow. I don't know anyone who has started in this industry that started and took off running, in the first 2 months. So for sure, it takes at least 3 to get people to know you and to start utilizing you, I believe. And yes, you can do some creative things to try to get into this industry. I told that person, start with printing. The cheapest thing that you can buy and invest in here to start this business is, if you're using the name and you start printing, you can print black and white copies. I charge 19 cents for my black and white copies. And how I came to that conclusion was, I called the FedEx store, I called the UPS store, I called the library, I called Office Max, Office Depot now. Those places gave me their prices for black and white printing, for color copies, but it makes a difference what kind of paper you use, and if it's a brochure, if it's all of that makes a difference. But you can learn slow by providing black and white copies, so that somebody who just needs to print out a document can print out a document, and then also color copies. Once you get a color printer, those two investments, or one, all in one if you want to use one with toner, or all in one if you're going to use one that does both, fine. Just do your color printer, because it'll do black and white as well. But I separated mine because I use a toner in one and ink in the other, inkjet in the other. So anyway, that was the least expensive thing that I could tell her to do. I told her to add graphic design, can you graphic design? Can you design something? If you can design something, that is a free way for you to start. Yes, it's your time, so time is not free, but it doesn't cost you equipment to be able to do graphic design. Yes, it does if you don't have a cell phone. Yes, it does if you don't have a computer or a laptop. But if you do have those things, you can start with those items. If you don't have them, then that's your investment. A cell phone and Canva, Canva offers free services. That's who I use to design most of my graphics. Or your laptop, and you can invest in Photoshop, you can invest in CorelDRAW, you can invest in, Illustrator. If you want to start small, use your cell phone, use your resources, use your laptop, and add those free services, or move up to pro in those services and offer graphic design. That is my suggestion, number one. Number two is printing. Offer printing services via your basic printer at home until you run out. Print off of that until it runs out, okay? Some of these printers cost less than the ink. You can buy a new printer before you replace the ink in your old printer. Buy another printer, set that up and print some more until that runs out, but charge enough to make sure that it's worth it. Again, I charge 19 cents for my black and white copies and 58 cents for my color copies, because that's what was comparable over here. The library charges a little bit less, but they will not help you with anything. That is what I've learned. If you need help, which a lot of the people who are coming outside of their home to print something that's not for a business, or, for a large event where they just don't think their printer can handle it, are needing your help. So my guidance for that is that if they are coming to you, you can charge a small premium. It's not so if it's 17 cents or 10 cents at the library and I'm charging 17 or 19 cents, yes, you're close to paying double, but you're printing 10 things. It's going to cost you an extra 25 cents and you have my help. So it's a trade-off. So again, starting a new business with limited funds, this pack and ship business, my suggestion is start with graphic design, okay? I don't think you can buy the software. I bought mine used. I bought mine from a pack and ship center that was already using Postal Mate. So I had every bit of equipment that they required in order for me to start with Postal Mate. But instead of paying what I believe it was listed at the back of the RSA magazine or other magazines, like the companies that they sell this equipment through, was upwards of $3,600, I believe. It might have been even more than that. And I paid $1,200, and I even got a secondary screen that faces my customer instead of just my computer. My computer's touchscreen. I got a computer, a drawer, cash register drawer, a scanner, a Citizen printer, a Dymo printer, a Zebra printer for labels, a card reader, a signature pad, and a few other things for $1,200. So I lucked out. I bought that system from the same place that I bought my first set of mailboxes. Now that we've talked about what you can do for a low cost or free, or utilizing what you have, let's talk about just the average general cost that I was starting with and moved on from. So monthly, you are probably going to spend anywhere between $195 to $350 on software alone. So that would include your Postalmate RSA membership. Actually, you can go ahead and add on an additional 100 or more if you are going to become a Package Hub associate and or add PhotoZoomer to your program, which is the printing. So you can go ahead and up that. So let's just say $500 in average software cost if you are utilizing the associations that are out there to work with. Then your store. Honestly, some people, the stores are all over the map. It's definitely going to depend on where you're located. And I know in some places, if you are right on the street, it's going to be a lot more expensive than if you are somewhere that's a little more secluded or an area that is not directly off a main street. There is a catch-22 there. I have a lot of pros and cons there that I will go into probably in a different video because I am not a believer of thinking that you have to be right on the street. So there is an expense to being right on the street that is not necessarily necessary. So let's say your lease is between $2,000 per month and $6,000 per month, because I know plenty of people that are right in the middle of that, and I am also. So I know that there are people who actually have a store that's only costing them $1,000 a month because they're in an area where they're 40 miles from everything. And then there are people who are paying $5,000 a month for 800 square feet in a very busy storefront. I am at 1,400 square feet, and again, I'm a few $1,000s per month, but I think I lucked out because I'm in an amazing plaza. It's going to increase with the negotiations in my lease very soon, but as a business starting out, I probably, again, it's going to depend on your budget, but I would not go with something that is more than 6 months of my salary. Your rent is $2,000 a month and you do not have $12,000 saved up for the 6 months. I don't think you should start at this point in time. And then on top of that, you need $1,000 for expenses and all your utilities and everything that's included in that. So if you are doing 6 months of $3,000, then you need $18,000 saved before you start. Okay, that is pretty much the principle that I would like to at least see people go by on average, so that they at least give themselves a fighting chance. Okay, because this business is probably going to be very, very slow. For the month, I printed out what I made from my Postalmate register, at least what went through the register. I printed that stuff out from August 1st all the way through December of 20. I printed it out through March, but I printed out what I did and calculated what I did through December of 2024. And in all honesty, I never made the amount of the rent in 1 month except for through mentorship. If I did not mentor people as a part of my business, I would not have made even the amount of the rent in those 4 months, for those 4 months. So, if I'm saying $2,000, which my rent is more, but if I'm saying $2,000 a month for those 4 months, I did not make $8,000 in shipping and printing cost and mailboxes in those months. So please understand, this is absolutely not a get rich quick. Now I'm not calculating, what didn't go through this Postalmate stuff is my Fieldprint fingerprinting. That did not go through this POS system. I wound up finding a way to add it once they pay me so that I have tracking of it. But that didn't go through the system, so I wasn't calculating that when I was doing the numbers. It was just shipping. It was just any items that I have in the POS listed, which would be, the items that I sell in my gift shop area, the items that I sell printing, notary services. Those services went through the POS system. So in the first 4 months, I didn't make $12,000. So, I'm just telling you, if you start this business, be prepared to build it from scratch. Be prepared to understand that it is not going to flow immediately, that you have to build up to. I had to set a goal of getting 100 mailbox customers so that I can make sure I paid the rent. Okay? That was the goal, like the end goal. And right now, as of today, March 15th, 2025, I'm at 71 mailbox renters. My goal for the end of the year and beyond is to get up to 100 and beyond. Those include virtual mailbox renters and physical mailbox renters. So my goal for both, I want at least 100 virtual and at least 100 physical mailboxes. I would prefer to have them by the end of this year, but if I can't get 100 and 100, I need to be at least 100, which means I need to add 29 more mailboxes by the end of the year, which is definitely reasonable and doable, in order for me to feel comfortable covering just my rent here, not any other expenses, not anything to do with paying myself or getting another employee if I'm going to do that. None of that included. It's just to get over the hump of paying my rent. And those numbers fluctuate. So I'm saying 100 just as a base because I rent my mailboxes, the small box, $25, a business box, $35, and I give them a discount if they pay for 3 months at a time. Okay, so they get $5 off each box if they pay 3 months at a time. So that is how it works for me. Those are my prices, and that's my cost. That's what it costs here. And so that is my numbers and how I planned my mailbox situation. Now let me talk about Fieldprint and how it adds to my bottom line. So because I don't pay anything to run Fieldprint, other than the fact that I have to use my internet, you have to connect it to internet. So that's your cost. That's what it's going to cost you and whatever electricity it costs to be plugged in. And then if you have someone else doing the fingerprints, obviously you have to pay them a wage of some sort if they're doing it. But I'm the technician, so I'm doing it. So Fieldprint, on average, I just say if I average at 100 people per month, it'll be in the $500 range. So put it that way, because it fluctuates. You might have 100 people. One of them is just doing flats. That's only going to pay you a few dollars. Some of them are going to do all three things. They're going to do digital photos, I-9 verification, and fingerprints, and that is going to pay you more. So I just say if I get an average of 100 people a month, I know I'm going to be in the $500 range. It might be $450 to $500, depending on what services they've performed. And I can average that in that way. And so Fieldprint has become an asset by providing $450 to $500 or more per 100 people that it brings me. Okay, so that is how I calculate that. So that is fingerprinting and or Fieldprint. Now with Fieldprint, they don't do ink cards, so they don't allow you to do the ink cards with their service. So if you do ink cards and you don't need regulation, there are certain states, please look up the regulations in your state. But if you don't have a regulated state that doesn't require you to be a certain type of technician in order to do fingerprints, then you order those cards, which I believe are FD258, but don't quote me on that. You order the cards. I ordered mine on Amazon. I also have the little station that is like a wood block, and it has the stamp on it so that it keeps everything in one place. I like to do mine in a certain way, so I don't always use that. But I offer the ink cards to clients who need them, because there are people who are going to come in for fingerprints that actually need, give me 1 second. Thank you, and just give us a call back Monday or Tuesday.
All right, thank you. Bye.
All right, thank you. All right. I do not remember what I was talking about. So to answer someone's question that asked me how I'm funding my business, one of the ways I fund the business is exactly what you just heard. I have other businesses that I have been running since I was 25 years old or younger, actually younger. But those businesses are still functioning, and I still am involved in those businesses, and that is how I help to fund the shortcomings of this business. So if this business does not make enough money to sustain itself at this time, I utilize some of which would be like a secondary job, my other income from my other businesses. So I still make appointments for that business. I still take fill-in phone calls for that business. I still suggest people to go to that business. I still do all of those things as the owner of that business, those businesses, and I do that from this location since I was doing it from home anyway. All right, so from home or the location. All right, so on to shipping. Another phone call. Please let me help you.
Hi, I had an appointment. I was supposed to be there at 10 this morning. I lost my phone. I got my phone back. Is there any way that I could come in and get it calibrated?
You wouldn't be able to go there. You would probably have to go to Tinley Park. Then so you can come over here to Holy Ship and have it recalibrated.
I can have it recalibrated by you?
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I need.
You would have to go to Tinley Park if you wanted to still get it today.
Yes, please. Yes, definitely. Should I just call them?
No, you're speaking to them. I'm answering from there.
Could you say that one more time, please? Okay.
All right.
Just get there as soon as I can then?
Yep.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. So, again, my other businesses, I make them intertwine in some way. And as you just heard, or maybe just heard, I am going to take one of the customers from my business 25 minutes away from here to come over here to do a service that most pack and ship stores can't offer, but I offer it here at this location just because it's another something that I offer. It's Bade device services. So I do Bade device services. But that is not something that most pack and ship stores would be able to offer. It's something I've been doing for almost 16 years. So I offer it here at this location. But that's neither here nor there. But let me segue from that by saying anything that you do that you offer, like say you're a graphics person or you're a crafts person, offer your crafts in your store. Do what you have to do to make sure your store is unique and also that it's sustainable. If you're at home and you have a crafting business currently, and it is something that you can do while you sit here. Like, it's been quiet this entire time that I've been recording. I have not had but one customer, I think, since then, other than phone calls, since I started recording. So there is going to be downtime. There's going to be quiet time. There's going to be time for you to create. Be creative. Do something during that time. If you crochet and you want to sell those items, crochet, sell those items. If you want to, if my daughter does tattoos, if you want to do tattoos, don't be set up like a tattoo shop in the pack and ship store. But you can practice if you have an office. You can do things that you would normally be increasingly learning or, doing as a side hustle in this business. I've seen other stores like have hats and shirts and this and that. So if you have that stuff, sell that stuff. Like, it's okay to sell it in a package ship store if you do it in the right way. Make it a gift shop area. Make it fit and blend with your type of business. But find the other ways that you can create, a fill-in for the gaps in the business. Okay, so before that call, I was going to get into shipping. All right, with shipping, I think it's a beautiful thing that all we have to do is print a label half the time, or sell a box and print a label. Sometimes pack things and print a label. But that is the cost to shipping. So I love that shipping is it can become a bread and butter for your business. If you get more people to trust that you are just like FedEx, you are just like UPS, you are just like USPS, and you can help them. So you are them, but with a smile. You are them, but with better service. You are them, but with your unique twist, whatever that is. And for me, it's been customer service. It has been my unique ability to build community and not just treat you like a number. I call it the next scenario, because when I go there's plenty of times where people ship stuff here, and as a brand new business, I want to have the best reputation in this business. So I will take their stuff that they are shipping with me. Somebody already came from FedEx, somebody already came for USPS, somebody already came for UPS, or whatever the case. I'm gonna take this stuff to my local UPS and ship it for them so that it still goes out today if their driver has not come. I'm going to take it to the UPS store, the FedEx store, USPS. I'm going to take it wherever it needs to go, because that is how I want to make them feel, as if their package was important to me. And even though it may have only paid me 80 cents, it may have only paid me $3 to print the label, or $3 in covered, overage from what the commercial cost is. I want to make that impression from my clients, so I go above and beyond. I don't have to do it often, because usually I know when the people are coming, so I just kind of let them know it's either going out today or it's going out tomorrow. If they make it an important, something that they're saying is so important that it has to go out today, I'm going to go ahead and go above and beyond and take it to where it needs to go to make sure that it gets out today. Even though they sent it with me, I'm going to take it to the but the other location that has the ability to get it out today. Okay? So in doing that, though, what I was bringing up, sorry for being so scatterbrained at this moment, but what I was bringing up is that I've been to those locations. I've gone to, I'm not going to name, but I've gone to one of those other locations, be it one of the other, what we do, but those specific franchises. And the line may be to the door, and there may be still one person working there, maybe two. The line may be to the door, and they're standing there, and they're not greeting anybody necessarily, and they're not, creating the sense of urgency that some people feel like they need for, what they're trying to rush and get out. They're not necessarily warm and welcoming. If it is towards the end of the day, don't let it be towards the end of the night. Don't let it be towards the end of the night, because they are going to, I've had them go lock the door a few minutes early and have to let me out, but they made it very known with huffs and puffs and whatever else that they were, ready for me to go, that I shouldn't have come within 10 minutes of their closing, that I shouldn't, they're not saying these words, but you get the point, you get the feeling. I don't make people feel like that even if they come at 5:59 and I close at 6. Just because I am grateful that you chose me. I'm grateful that you chose to come to my location. Yes, be respectful. Of course, you don't want to run into a restaurant at 8 o'clock at 7:59 when they close at 8. Their chances are their dishwasher's not going to want to wash your dishes. Their cook is going to be upset about cooking for you. So try to be respectful, of course. You want to come 45 minutes before they close at least, but not in a shipping store. Like, I get it. You know that I don't close until 6 p.m., So you came at 5:55. Fine. I am going to give you the same smile and greeting that I did the person who came at 9:05 after I opened, or 8:55 before I opened. Okay? So just know that what you can offer them is the experience. What you can offer them is, even though it may cost them $1 or $2 more sometimes. Because I'm going to tell you, in the very beginning, I for sure did not want that sort of profit. Just because I know that people compare prices, and I know that people will turn around and go back to the post office if they think you're charging them $1.15 more. And sometimes you have to understand that, is the $1.15 worth it, or is their opportunity to have an experience with me and potentially choose me each and every time more worth it? Like, of course, we have to make money. We're in the business to make money. We're in the business to build clientele and trust and have them, be grateful to be able to choose us, to have us as an option. So I don't know. I price my pricing as comparable to the other locations as possible, so that they don't feel like because they came into my fancy store, because they came into a FedEx, UPS, and USPS store, that they don't get the same sort of, average pricing. So just keep all of that in mind. Again, this was just kind of a ramble about some calls that I got. I'm very appreciative for the calls that I got, so thank you guys. Please, I'm fine with them. Keep them coming as long as I'm not busy. I will answer and try to answer your questions. I am also super grateful for 52 subscribers. I made it above 50 subscribers, guys. Thank you for 50 plus. Please like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell if you have not. And I will try to keep these videos more organized, but coming. Okay? I will keep the videos coming. They will be just thoughts that I've had, things and suggestions that I can make, and hopefully answers to general questions that you might have if you're looking to get into this industry. It is not a get-rich-quick business. I say that all the time. It is not. So if you're looking for a get-rich-quick, this is not it. But some of the things that I said in this video are ways that you can get into this industry and start putting money into your bank account in your business name to establish when you started in the industry. So if it's delivery, if it is printing, if it is graphic design, please get started. Get started right away. Start putting that money as you accept jobs, put that money into the bank and establish the date that your business started in the pack and ship, the independent pack and ship business. With that being said, I'm going to close this video. I am Celeste. Signed by Celeste is my notary name. This is Holy Ship and Print, and I hope you enjoyed this vlog episode of me rambling about what you can do in this industry if you are not trying to make a large investment. And I will see y'all on the next one.